I can't quite put my finger on it, but there was something about episode 8 of Zom 100 that really the plot was a lot bigger and a lot more in our face than usual, and there's something specifically about this new Beatrix character who definitely caught my interest. I can't. Oh, Lord help me, I can't be this damn bad on a Monday morning, man. Truthfully though, the most consistent thing about Zom 100 has been the delay till Monday for streaming. Now, they air the episode in Japan on Sundays whenever they do air the episodes. It's like every other week anymore. But ultimately, the most consistent thing has been the delay till Monday for streaming services. So because I said that, watch them actually release episode 9 on Sunday this coming week. So I don't know. But honestly, man, as fan servicey and in your face as this new character Beatrix was, I have to admit, it's kind of nice almost having a female equivalent to Ken, because you can just tell naturally that our central two, there's chemistry brewing. She has daddy issues, she has trust issues, and honestly, she doesn't know how to open up. And our boy maybe is opening up a little too much to the idea of the world ending, and they're gonna be a nice couple that will build in together. But Ken, I mean, he's always slapping his ass around on screen. He has no shame, and seemingly Beatrix has no shame either, because goddamn, was she willing, and did she strip a couple of times. And I just kind of like the idea of these two potential couples just riding out the apocalypse, because honestly, Hot Springs of the Dead surprisingly had a very fun plot, and a very large plot, so to speak. Now, full live reaction episode 8 of that Zom 100 greatness is over on my Patreon if you would like to see that. Now, we have one more episode to go before ultimately we don't know when we get 10 through 12. That still hasn't been released yet. But ultimately, the one thing I will give major props to is I've seen many anime go through similar situations where every other week you don't get an episode, and then ultimately you don't have the last few episodes sometimes until a year later. And usually you can really tell the production issues, and there are production issues. There's still some naysayers who are just acting like, oh, it's because something took its television slot, or that no, it's legit production issues. It is absolutely a crashed and burned production that had one of the worst anime schedules of this year. However, I will admit, they are doing rather well visually. Like, honestly, if you look at just the action sequences with Beatrix, she has a fighting style that's very complex in terms of animation. She spins that blade around quite a bit. There's a lot of movement that goes on into her overall actions. And usually in a show like this that is suffering production delays, and as many as this one has had, you would skim down, there would be a lot more noticeable moments. And really, the only thing really noticeable in this episode is there's a select, maybe 3 or 4 shots, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, where sometimes the the face consistency is a little off model, but it's nothing too major, so it's not really gonna ruin an episode. And then there's a couple of 3D shots with the zombies that are a little more noticeable. But in general, you look at how much actually happened in this episode, and it's fairly consistent for the amount of BS that's going on. And I will say, I wish the animators and staff nothing but the best. They deserved a more healthy production. But you have to admit, credit where credit's due. They have managed to make all the episodes that have come out. So rather than having a show where it keeps getting delayed and you watch the new episode and it gets progressively worse visually, this show has remained fairly consistent, which probably does help the popularity stay at the very least decent and not completely crash and burn like something like a Misfit of Demon King Academy, when it just absolutely just screwed the pooch with delays and had to completely cancel until a season or 2 later, right? But in terms of this episode, it kind of felt like 2 episodes in one. The first of which is the sushi moment, which is honestly just the show in a nutshell. A character in the middle of the apocalypse, what's their most important thing? Oh, they want to deliver fish so that they can have sushi and become a sushi chef, or have a sushi chef cook for them. It's just like, of course, that's what they're doing. And then you get this very cool scene where we get to lure a bunch of zombies. It doesn't quite work out initially, but ultimately we burst those fools into flames. That kind of felt like one style of episode. And then the second is what I was waiting for the whole episode, because I knew it was called, I think it's called Hot Springs of the Dead in terms of this episode title. I remember it from the preview in the previous episode. Ultimately, I was like, when are they going to the hot springs? I thought, okay, maybe they're at like a little inn, they're gonna have their sushi, then they're gonna do the hot springs. I was just like, please tell me there's some zombies chilling in there, their arms are kind of like peeling off. But honestly, they did have fun with the 2 types of styles, and that's just kind of what the show is. It's such a refreshing take on the zombie formula that you know and love, or have known and just grown bored of, and turns it into something that really doesn't feel comparable to anything as of late, and really you have to dig back years and years to really start finding those comparisons, right? And I think the way they handled the use of fan servicey moments, I mean, if you're going into hot springs and you have 2 busty beauties who are going to be stripped down, you know there's gonna be some fan service. Hell, when Ken's ass is on screen almost every other frame, you know there's gonna be some fan service, and they give it for all the characters, seemingly. But the idea that they were able to just have this very funny, if not flirtatious moment where our boys are basically on cloud nine, they're like, this is it. This is the holy grail. There's only one working hot springs. They have to come in here. We'll be men, trust us, it's okay. And as she's stripped down, ready to rumble, the zombies just come and marching. And I love the idea that prior to that, when you think about it, they were swimming like sharks. They were going fast, they were splashing all around. It's entirely possible as they were swimming, something could have been bitten off or attacked. And it just is it becomes funnier the more you think about what could have happened as they're just sitting there on cloud nine hoping that they come into the water. And the fact that they had to flee, and like the thing that they're upset by isn't the fact that they can't get back to their vehicle. It's no, we were so close to bathing with them. And I'm like, oh my god, the shamelessness of this scene is so perfect. And the fact that it's not just simply both of our girls being like just so upset. One was down with it. She's just as upset as the boys, being like, bro, I wanted to bathe. And just, it's honestly hilarious. Like, I mean, you can't say this episode wasn't down bad, and you can't say probably a lot of the people watching it, myself included, weren't a little down bad watching the episode ourselves. But at the end of the day, what I love about this is the idea of freedom, because this show started off with kind of the concept of freedom starts coming, and you have the ability to truly relive and repurpose your life once the zombie apocalypse hits. And we have 4 interesting characters that we're working with. We, of course, have our main boy, who's basically, he's in that, like, I'm gonna clear my bucket list, I'm gonna enjoy the time I have and feel like I actually lived a life rather than being a corporate slave. Ken is kind of like the, you know, he faked that happiness for so long. He acted like, you know, very similar to Akira, but just this time, he was the guy being like, yeah, I got everything I need, but now is, you know, stripping away those layers that held him down and is just embracing the freedom lifestyle. Of course, we have a girl who pretty much was a slave to her family and, you know, strict to the rules, doesn't know how to open up. And then now we have someone who's all about simple moments like, you know, I'm a foreigner who came here because I wanted to eat sushi. I wanted to learn how to make sushi. And at this point, I'm going to dress up similar to Akira and kick zombie ass. And honestly, it's pretty brilliant, the cast they developed, because Beatrix, I was expecting, just based on the character design, the hair color, I was like, oh, maybe she'll be a bit more of like a tsundere, or maybe even a character who's a little more hot-tempered. And instead, we get the cute foreigner who's just as free as Kensho. And I'm like, I never expected that, but that's pretty brilliant. I still think Zom 100 is one of the best shows to watch this anime season. It's just a complete shame about the delays, because it's not even just like there was 1 or 2 delays. It's like, even like when the episodes are coming out on time, they still end up getting pushed at least a day. And it ruins, because people expect things at a certain time. And I guarantee you there's like 30% of the people who've been watching this show have no idea when new episodes come out anymore, because it's just so inconsistent. But at the very least, people who do decide to watch Zom 100 when it's over are going to have a pretty consistent ride, all things considered. So hopefully this doesn't mean we're only getting that one and done season, because this is a very fun cast of characters, an interesting world, and I love what I've seen so far. But let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos to the channel. And like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out like Philos, Pokemon 222-888, Powered 9987, Pranay Sumshwar, Proof Space, and Purple Kush are getting today. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.